You sit in front of your screen, and the chart stares back at you like an old friend who knows all your weaknesses. You see it forming. The level, the candle pattern, everything lines up as if the market itself has laid out a path for you. And yet, as you act, the market turns against you. Not slowly, not gently, but with a force that rattles you and your heart sinks. You whisper under your breath, "How could this happen? This setup was perfect." I have been there. I have felt that same shock, that same frustration more times than I can count. And I want to tell you something bluntly. The market does not care about your idea of perfection. It does not reward your eagerness, your hope, or your sense of timing. The market only rewards one thing: truth. The truth of what is happening in price and volume, the truth of market behavior, and the truth of your own discipline. The first lesson I learned, and it took me years, is that no setup is truly perfect. A setup is not a promise. It is not a guarantee. It is simply a signal, a probability, a chance. The mistake so many traders make is believing that the setup itself is enough to ensure success. You see the level, you see the candle, you think it is ideal, and you act as if the market owes you a win. But the market owes no one anything. This is why traders fall into the trap of expectation. They see patterns they have memorized. They see textbook formations that scream entry, and yet they fail to notice subtle cues that tell the real story. Maybe the volume is weak. Maybe the prior trend is losing momentum. Maybe the price hesitates just enough to hint that the market is not ready to move. These small details are often invisible to the impatient trader, but they are critical. I remember one day years ago watching a setup that looked flawless. It had everything: a support level holding strong, a bullish engulfing candle, volume confirming the move. I jumped in immediately, confident, even cocky. Within minutes, the market turned sharply against me. I lost more in a single trade than I had in weeks. And as I stared at the screen, stunned, I realized the mistake was not in the chart. It was in me. I had assumed certainty where there was only probability. I had let desire override observation. Observation is everything. That is the difference between a hopeful amateur and a professional trader. The market speaks in whispers, hesitations, tiny reversals, subtle pressure points. Most traders ignore them. They see only the big picture, the perfect setup, and they act as if they can force the market to conform to their expectations. And that is why setups fail. Another lesson I learned, one that changed my trading forever, is that timing matters more than pattern perfection. A setup can appear beautiful, textbook perfect, but if it comes at the wrong phase of the market, it can still fail. The market moves in cycles: expansion, contraction, accumulation, distribution. The context around the setup is just as important as the setup itself. If you enter too early before confirmation, you become a victim of your own impatience. If you enter too late, you risk catching only the tail end when momentum has shifted and your risk is high. Most traders fail because they want to feel smart. They want to be ahead of the move to prove they can predict it. They forget that professional traders do not predict, they observe and react. They wait for the market to reveal its intention. They recognize the alignment between price, volume, and behavior, and only then do they act decisively. This is what turns potential into profit and mistakes into lessons. I also want to emphasize the psychological side because this is where the perfect setup myth does the most damage. When a trade goes against you, your ego wants to fight it. Your mind wants to rationalize it, argue with it, or convince itself that the market is wrong. But the market is never wrong. Only your interpretation can be wrong. And most traders never confront that. They blame the setup, the level, the candle pattern. They never blame themselves. But the truth is, consistent traders take responsibility for both their successes and their failures. They ask, did I enter too early? Did I ignore a hesitation in price? Did I let desire dictate action? This is also why keeping a trading journal is invaluable. When I first began documenting every trade, every hesitation, every emotional reaction, I started seeing patterns in myself. I noticed that my perfect setups often failed, not because the market was unpredictable, but because I was not ready. I was too impatient, too emotional, or too uncertain. Recording trades and reviewing them became a form of self-mastery, a way to train my mind to see reality, not hope. And patience. Oh, patience is underrated. Most traders see a potential setup and want to jump in immediately. They believe the sooner they enter, the smarter they are. But the market does not reward speed. It rewards alignment. Waiting until all conditions are confirmed, even if it means missing an early move, is what separates professionals from amateurs. That is why I always say the perfect setup is not the one that looks textbook. The perfect setup is the one you are ready to act on with clarity, confidence, and discipline. So the next time your setup fails, do not curse the charts. Do not blame the candle or the level. Instead, look inward. Examine your timing, your discipline, your observation. That is where the real lessons are. That is where growth begins. And that is the foundation for turning frustration into mastery. Now, let us dive into execution, the point where most traders silently fail even when the setup seems flawless. You have waited, observed, and seen a pattern form. Everything looks aligned. But when the moment comes to act, something shifts inside. Your heartbeat quickens. Your mind whispers doubts. Your emotions push you either to hesitate or to force the trade. And it is here, in this quiet battlefield, that the outcome of your trades is truly decided. Execution is not about pressing a button at the right moment. It is about controlling yourself while the market tests you. Every tick, every candle, every subtle move is a challenge to your patience, your discipline, and your clarity. The market does not care about your desire to be right. It only rewards those who respond with calm observation and decisive action. Fear and greed are not abstract. They are physical forces that live in your chest and head. Fear tightens the chest. Greed accelerates the heartbeat, and both cloud judgment if unchecked. I have seen traders jump in because they were afraid of missing the move, only to be stopped out within minutes. I have seen others double down in greed, chasing confirmation that never came, wiping out their gains. This is where FOMO, the deadly trap of FOMO in trading, rules. FOMO does not just make you chase trades. It distorts your perception. It convinces you that every setup is urgent, that if you do not act immediately, the opportunity will vanish forever. I have lost more trades to FOMO than to market movements. I felt it creep in like a shadow across the mind, whispering, "This is your chance. Act now." And the market patiently waits, knowing that the untrained mind will always overreact. The key to defeating FOMO is observation and alignment. You must see the market clearly, without urgency, without emotion, and recognize when a trade is ready to be executed, not when your desire demands it. That is the edge of the professional trader, acting when the market allows it, not when your heart forces it. Let me give you an example. I once waited for what looked like a breakout. All the textbook signals were there: the candle, the level, the volume. I could feel the pull, the urge to enter, the adrenaline rising. But I noticed the volume was not supporting the move fully. Price hesitated slightly at a key level. My instinct screamed to act, but I waited. Minutes later, the market revealed its true intent, a trap for the impatient. Traders who jumped in immediately were shaken out. I entered a few minutes later, calmly, and captured the move perfectly. That single moment of patience saved me a loss and became a lesson I never forgot. Execution is also about controlling size and risk. A perfect setup can still be deadly if your position is too large or your stops are mismanaged. Many traders fall into the trap of overconfidence when a pattern looks ideal, ignoring the probability of failure. They risk too much, thinking the market owes them a win. And when the unexpected happens, they panic. Their losses compound, and they blame the market instead of their own mismanagement. Professional traders approach every setup with a plan, size, risk, and exit defined before the first tick. They know that no trade is guaranteed and that probability, not certainty, is their ally. They understand that losses are inevitable and that patience and discipline convert potential setups into opportunities. Here is another subtle point that most traders miss. Repeated failures in perfect setups are rarely about the charts. They are about the trader. Your hesitation, your impatience, your emotional state, all these dictate the outcome. That is why keeping a journal is essential. Documenting every trade, your thought process, and your emotional reactions reveals patterns in yourself. Maybe you panic too early. Maybe you chase confirmations. Maybe you overtrade after a loss. Awareness of these habits is the first step toward mastery. Confidence is built in the same way. It is not given. It is earned through discipline, preparation, and alignment with probability. Another lesson I have learned over decades is that alignment matters more than perfection. A setup is only as good as the moment it appears in. You can see a textbook pattern, but if it occurs during a consolidation or during a phase where the market lacks momentum, it is meaningless. Waiting for the right moment, the moment where behavior, volume, and price all align, is far more important than spotting the perfect candle formation. Discipline compounds with every correct execution. Every patient wait, every calm observation, every trade entered only when alignment exists strengthens your mind and builds consistency. And over time, these disciplined actions outweigh any single perfect setup that fails. Losses are no longer devastating. They are lessons. Wins are no longer fleeting. They are proof of process. One of the most powerful realizations I had is that the market is neutral. It does not care if you are right or wrong. If your setup looks perfect or if your strategy is solid, it only reflects probability. That is why the setup itself is meaningless without your readiness. And that is why the professional edge lies not in memorizing patterns or chasing setups, but in mastering the mind, the discipline, and the execution. Every trader will face setups that fail. Every trader will feel the frustration of perfect conditions turning against them. But the difference is in how you respond. Do you panic, force, and chase? Or do you observe, learn, and act aligned? Do you allow FOMO and desire to dictate your trades? Or do you let probability and discipline guide your actions? The traders who survive and thrive are not those who catch every move. They are those who survive losses gracefully, who rebuild confidence, who execute with precision, and who understand that probability is the only guarantee in the market. And once you internalize this, something remarkable happens. Your frustration fades. You stop forcing trades. You stop overanalyzing patterns. You begin to recognize the difference between a setup and a trade ready to be executed. You begin to see losses as teachers and wins as confirmation of your discipline. You begin to trade not for validation or hope, but because the market has revealed the right conditions and you are ready to act. Execution, patience, alignment, and self-mastery. The four pillars transform the way you trade. When all four align, even imperfect setups can become profitable. When any one is missing, even perfect setups can destroy confidence. And mastery is not about perfection. It is about preparation, discipline, and consistent action over time. Now, let us bring everything together because this is where transformation begins. You have seen the setups fail. You have watched yourself hesitate, overreact, or chase moves. You felt FOMO grip you and patience slip through your fingers. And yet here you are, still learning, still trying, still staring at the charts with determination. This is the point where most traders give up. But this is also the point where mastery begins. The ultimate truth is simple but hard to accept. The market is neutral. It does not reward hope, fear, or desire. It does not owe you a win because a setup looks perfect or because you deserve it. It only rewards observation, patience, and disciplined execution. And the realization that your failures are not caused by the market, but by yourself can feel harsh. But it is liberating because once you understand this, you realize that everything you need to succeed is within you. Think of it like this. Every failed setup, every stop hit, every frustrated attempt is a lesson in disguise. Each one teaches you more about your own mind than about the charts. They reveal your impatience, your overconfidence, your inability to wait for alignment. And if you are willing to observe, to analyze, and to adjust, these lessons compound into a skill that no strategy, no indicator, no textbook can provide. This is self-mastery. This is the edge that separates the professionals from the amateurs. I remember one particularly harsh losing streak. Every setup I had seemed to fail. My confidence was shattered. Fear crept into every decision. I began questioning not just my trades, but my ability to trade at all. And yet, by the end of that streak, I had learned more about my mind than I had in years of winning trades. I had learned to pause, to observe, to resist the urge to chase, to size positions correctly, to trust probability rather than hope. That period of loss became the foundation for decades of consistent success. This is why patience and discipline are far more valuable than any perfect setup. A trader who waits for alignment, who observes behavior over textbook patterns, and who executes with calm precision will succeed far more often than the trader who jumps at every opportunity in a frenzy of emotion. Remember, the market rewards the prepared mind, not the eager heart. And here is the profound realization. The setups you thought were perfect were not failing. You were simply not ready. You were not aligned. You were not disciplined enough to respond when the market revealed its true intention. Once you accept this, the frustration transforms into empowerment. You begin to see the market as a teacher, not an adversary. Losses become lessons. Wins become proof of your readiness. And every day at the charts becomes an opportunity to strengthen your mind and refine your craft. I want you to visualize this for a moment. Picture yourself observing a setup. Price interacts with a key level. Volume confirms. Market behavior aligns. And instead of rushing, you sit calmly watching. You feel your emotions, but do not act on them. Then when everything aligns, the confirmation is there. You execute the trade decisively, confidently, without hesitation. That moment, that clarity, that discipline is what separates a trader who survives from one who merely hopes. Over time, these moments compound. Every patient wait, every disciplined execution, every careful observation builds consistency. You stop chasing setups. You stop forcing trades. You stop allowing FOMO and fear to dictate action. Your mindset transforms. You trade from preparation, not hope. From discipline, not impulsivity. From understanding, not desire. And this transformation extends beyond the charts. It rebuilds confidence. It teaches resilience. It strengthens your ability to act rationally even when emotions rise. That is why I recommend complementing this lesson with our other videos. Why you keep losing even with a solid strategy helps you understand underlying reasons for repeated failures. How to rebuild your confidence after heavy losing streaks shows you how to restore trust in yourself. The deadly trap of FOMO in trading and how to stop offers strategies to regain control. The market itself will always challenge you. It will surprise you. It will test your patience, your discipline, and your psychology. But when you train your mind, these challenges become opportunities. Every failed setup becomes a lesson. Every loss a teacher. Every winning trade a validation of your method. And every day at the charts a step toward mastery. Now, if you want to take this further, I urge you to download our ebooks. Thinking like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk teaches you the principles that guided one of history's greatest traders. While the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook, guides you through actionable exercises to rebuild confidence, strengthen discipline, and master your emotions day by day. Both are linked in the description below. And remember, your edge does not come from perfection. It comes from preparation, from patience, from probability, from mastery of your own mind. Once you internalize that, every setup, every candle, every tick becomes an opportunity to apply what you have learned. The market stops being something to fear and becomes something to understand, a teacher, a guide, and sometimes a mirror reflecting your own growth. So, here's what I want you to do. Like this video if it resonated. Comment honestly. How often do you feel FOMO or frustration when setups fail? Share this video with another trader who is struggling to see beyond perfect setups. Take the time to reflect on your own behavior and your readiness for trades. And when you are ready to go deeper, download the ebooks. Both will guide you to trade with discipline, patience, and clarity, just as the great traders of history have done. Because in the end, the setups were never failing. You were simply learning how to become the trader the market respects. And once you embrace that, internalize it, and act on it consistently, the market becomes less of an adversary and more of a teacher. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every win becomes validation. Every day becomes a step toward mastery. And mastery, my friend, is where freedom lives. The journey from frustration to mastery is not quick. It is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to consistent, lasting success. And once you take it, you will never look at failed setups the same way again. They are no longer failures. They are the process, the training, the preparation. And every step, every lesson, every moment of discipline brings you closer to becoming the trader you were meant to be.